Suzanne, can you tell me just a little bit about yourself really quick, just who you are, what you do, how long you've been doing it?
So I've been back in Atlanta for, well, actually since September of 2018. I moved here from Chicago, Illinois. I had previously lived in Atlanta for about 5 years in the early 2000s. And when I moved up to Chicago, I had moved up there and worked in a couple of retail positions. I worked at Sears Holdings Corporation when I was up there. I also worked at University of Chicago Booth School of Business, so one of the #1 MBA schools. But ultimately missed Atlanta, had a lot of friends here, and really wanted to get back to some warm weather as well because it's awfully chilly up there in the Midwest. So I came back for a role with American Cancer Society in September of 2018, and things are going great. I was a director of marketing strategy and planning, and loved my job, loved working with ACS, but unfortunately COVID hit. And with a lot of things with COVID, things changed, and now I'm out there looking for the next best opportunity.
So as you're looking for an opportunity, could you tell me a little bit about what are some of your superpowers?
I think my first one is probably empathy. I have an ability to really put myself in other people's shoes and to really try and understand what they're going through. And I think empathy is something that goes a long way in the workplace, and also goes a long way in your personal life as well. But I don't think everybody has it. And I do think that that's a skill set that I have in spades. And I do think that really having that ability to have a heart and, think things, take things a little bit to heart goes a long way in whatever you're doing. I would say my other superpower is really a good memory and being detail oriented. I've always been told in my positions that I remember things like that I could be in a meeting and someone's like, oh, what happened on this one meeting? I wouldn't have to even look at my notes. I have an ability that once I write something down, I tend to always remember it. And it's not that I have like this special memory power, but it's something that I'm really good at. And I think I could bring that skill set into anything I'm doing to really help with our focus areas at the time.
Immediately to a team, what would they be?
Experience is the biggest one. So throughout all of my career, I have focused a lot on strategy planning, a lot of channel marketing. And I have been doing that from the beginning, looking at Delta Airlines when I worked at Delta in the early 2000s, all the way through to my most recent role at American Cancer Society, as well as the work that I'm doing with American Marketing Association. And it's the breadth and depth of what I've done that I do think goes a long way in all these roles that I've been applying for, because the roles I am looking to still work within have that strategy and planning experience. And I would also say too that dedication is another thing that I would bring immediately to a role. Once I find something and once I'm involved in something, I put 110% effort into it. And I have that passion, I guess is another great way to put it. And I think that would be a big contribution, because as soon as I land somewhere, I want to make sure that I put my energy and my skill set into really understanding the company and understanding what it is we're trying to achieve so I can hit the ground running.
What roles do you think you could provide the most value to right now, and why?
I'm going to go back to some of those focus areas that I mentioned a few minutes ago. So throughout all of my career and working in different companies as I have, whether that be ACS, American Cancer Society, whether that be Chicago Booth. I also, when I was at Atlanta the first time, worked at the Home Depot and Delta Airlines. All of those jobs and roles that I had focused a lot on strategy and channel planning. So I have that ability to really develop that marketing strategy and then figure out what are those channels that make the most sense to activate the plan and put a campaign together with and execute against. I also think that communications is a strong skill set of mine and a role that I could definitely step into. I really focused a lot, especially in the ACS role, in developing communication plans, as well as the messaging and the core message that you want to say to your target audiences to get them to take an action or do something in order for you to obtain whatever the goal is that you have. I also have a very strong member acquisition and retention background through my work with things like Shop Your Way, which is a loyalty program for Sears Holdings Corporation. So it's the ability to really be able to understand your members. And actually this translates to just understanding in general your target audiences, trying to acquire new members, and as well as trying to retain the audiences that you have to take an action with.
We kind of have a really good overview of who you are within a company, within an organization, and as an employee. But could you tell us a few fun facts about yourself?
So, fun fact number one, I am really into Star Wars. People don't know that until I start talking about it. I am so into Star Wars that I have a Star Wars room. I am one of those nerdy geeks who have a whole room that's dedicated to all the Star Wars memorabilia that I have collected throughout the years. Some of my best ones is I have in the original packaging, though, to be fair, I played with it, the original land speeder from the Star Wars movie with the play action one. I also have one of the original 1977 posters, and I have the #1 Marvel comic original print. So that's a really fun fact of mine. Other than a fun fact is I used to collect comic books. I used to work at a comic book store through college. And I have, gosh, at this point, I must have about 3,500 comics that I still have. That's in an upstairs bedroom. So those are two interesting fun facts about me that you probably wouldn't know from just looking at me and until you get to know me a little better.